Surprise! I have a special guest today. His name is Logan Pfeifer, and I am super excited to have him. We are going to be talking about some interesting things today as far as hating yourself, loving yourself, and everything in between. Logan, you have been a buddy of mine for a couple of years. You've been over at the jail working with me. We're kind of on the same journey together. We're kind of like doing some of the same things at the same time. Like kind of our timelines are matching up in a really interesting way. How did you end up like in this position right now?
I make a lot of stupid choices, and in those choices, at some points I'll recognize the consequences, but at other points I don't. Sometimes I don't think about what I'm doing, and I just do it.
Kind of a knee-jerk kind of a thing, just like screw the consequences. Let's ride.
It's more like that, impulsive. Usually, if it's presented, I'll probably go for it.
So you're kind of like talking about like a lack of self-control.
Somewhat. That, like I said, I'm very more impulsive than anything. Mm-hmm. Usually, if I feel like it's like, oh, this is my like one and only chance, I'm gonna go for broke. And I mean, like I've said, I'll throw a Hail Mary, and if it goes, it goes. It's sometimes a touchdown, sometimes it isn't.
So do you have FOMO, fear of missing out?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I can. Oh yeah. I mean, at least we know, like, I'll make a decision.
Hey,
at least we know that, like, I'll make a decision. Yeah. It's not necessarily the best decision,
but it's a decision.
Yeah.
You're kind of feeling like these choices have led you to a state of being disappointed in yourself, not liking yourself, feeling guilt.
A lot of it's kind of like leaving damage in the wake. Bunch of hurt people and that.
Yeah.
And then I immediately want to go and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't.
Dude.
And it hurts and it sucks.
Been there.
I can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But now where life is pushing me, where it's like, no, these are now big consequences. Mm-hmm. Especially, as you know, my thing.
Yep.
The last 3 months have been, these are like big consequences. The words of a personal hero of mine. It's my second day. I'm still learning.
When you were at your lowest, kind of describe like how you felt.
Rock bottom. And it just was probably the worst feeling imaginable. I mean, hard to look at myself in the mirror, look at myself and be like, who the hell is this guy? Mm-hmm. Due to these actions and / choices, here we are. And now it's, I don't want to ever feel that way again.
I know for me, I can empathize with a lot of the things that you said. As far as like the mirror stuff, like for the longest time, ever since I was probably 13, 14, I have actually like had the lights off in the bathroom while I'm like doing my night stuff. Just because like it's hard for me to look at myself in the mirror. That's dark, right? Like just that thought, just like having the lights off and not being able to look at myself as a 31-year-old man in the mirror. That's pretty messed up. This is something that I came to realize. So if you truly hate yourself, if you dislike yourself, there are opposites in everything. If you are capable of hating yourself, you are absolutely capable of loving yourself. Like that's just pure science, right? Like there has to be opposites in everything. That's good news. One of the things that has been like super apparent to me is you can't truly love the way you're supposed to unless you love yourself, right? I'm not saying that you're not capable of giving love. Like I've given love, right? In all of my relationships, and whether they're romantic or just with, my parents or my sister or whatever. But if you don't love yourself, like it's not whole. If you have cracks in the wall of the dam and you have like a little bit of water coming out, mm-hmm. like that's the kind of love that I was giving, right? It was as much as I could give. But like, if I love myself, if I end up fully just like grasping onto that concept, like the floodgates have to open, right? And it allows me to love in the exact way that I'm supposed to love.
I don't want to let a lot of people, I guess, in, if that makes sense.
Afraid of getting hurt.
Yeah, because I am trying to show some love. I just don't want to, I'm always afraid to show all of it.
Yep.
Because I just don't want to get hurt again.
Right.
Ends up actually hurting others in that, because now I'm not letting anybody in.
It links back to trust. It links back to, like, if you don't trust yourself, like, that's what's going to happen, right? If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to be able to trust others. If you don't trust others, the love can't be there.
You nailed it right on the head, trusting yourself. Well, how am I going to, I need to figure out how to trust myself, and lastly, how to love myself. Because, I mean, there's not much people can say to me that I don't say to myself in the mirror 10 times over.
I can think of a few times with Bobby where, you know, she was giving me just this full, like, pure love, and I just couldn't accept it. Like, and it wasn't this conscious thought either. It wasn't like, I cannot accept this. But it was more like, it was hitting this, like, force field, right? It was almost like bouncing off of me. And I didn't realize it was happening like that, right? And that sucks, right? Especially as the person that's giving it, just to kind of feel that like love rejection. And again, the reason I couldn't fully accept it is because I didn't love myself, right? I basically hated myself. The positive part is we learn from these things, right? We learn from it, and we are choosing this to be our rock bottom. Life happens. Bad things happen to good people. Bad things happen when we're on a good path. But also, bad things happen when you're going down a bad path. And we both know that.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. The words of Jurassic Park, life will find a way. That will happen.
I think it's important now to talk about, like, how you learn to love yourself. And one of the biggest things for me is what I talked about in the rock bottom video, where it's A, you decide you hit rock bottom, and B, you identify everything that's wrong with you that you want to change, right? Because, like, the stereotype is like, it comes from within. And it's like, yes, love does come from within, but it's not that black and white. It's about, like, identifying the things you want to change, and as you work on those things, you show yourself love. So, like, it's like adding the building blocks of love internally, like, as you're working on those things, right? Because if you don't work on yourself, you're not showing yourself love. If you don't set boundaries, you're not showing yourself love. Doing those things naturally forms love within you. It's not just like you wake up one day loving yourself. You have to actually work for it.
I was taking a self-inventory on the mistakes I've made, choices I've made, and now how to fix them. It's going to be scary, especially putting yourself out there. I mean, legit, when I mean putting yourself out there, I mean, like, you're taking your own inventory. You're being vulnerable.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I'm scared shitless of being vulnerable.
It's scary.
I'm terrified of it.
It's scary.
But also, it's the definition of, like, courage. Doing it anyways, but scared.
Yep.
So it's, especially when you want to make that change, when you've hit your lowest low. It's going to be scary. Well, do it scared. That's the only thing you can really do.
Do it scared.
That's the best I can say with that.
Hey, if Healing Real Life ever has merch, the first shirt is going to say, do it scared.
That'd be cool.
Do it scared. And then it's going to have you as a bulldog with giant arms. It's going to be amazing. The next thing is being patient with yourself, right? Like, understanding that it's not going to be a perfect science. You're going to mess up. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be days where you feel like you have just slid all the way down the slide and started at square one, right? Like, that is important to understand, and just, like, take a breath, right? Just understand that this is part of it. So, success and progress is not linear. You need to be able to, like, understand that as imperfect humans, this is going to be the process, and that's okay.
Time is your best friend. You and I both learned professionally and personally.
Mm-hmm.
Time is your ally in this.
Amen.
And one, you can only beat yourself up so much to where now you're like, hey, I'm done beating myself up.
Yeah.
But take your time with yourself. Know yourself. The worst thing is you try to speed up the whole process and then you're back at square one. And then you're asking yourself, why the hell am I here?
Right. Cutting corners.
Exactly.
Right? Like trying to speed heal.
It's not a test in school.
No.
It's not a test of your job.
No.
This is now your own personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep cutting those corners and you think you're out of there. You think you're out of there clean as a whistle. And then boom, you get hit with a truck.
Exactly. Well, just like in the codependency video, I talked about like you will be tested, right? There's times where I'm like, man, I've got this thing figured out, and then I get tested, and I'm like, oh no, I don't.
Then all of a sudden you have an egg on your face. You now feel even more like a moron.
Along the way, you get humbled, right? And it's not that just initial humbling where you have that humility window, right? You're not moving too fast, you're having enough patience for yourself, and you're giving yourself that grace when you're not like up to your standard, right? Just be patient with yourself, man. The last thing I'm going to touch on is certainly not least, but like growing closer to God has helped me understand like how he sees me, and that in and of itself helps me love myself more, right? Because God, the divine, the universe, higher power, whatever you want to call it, like that's where like perfect love comes from. And being able to understand that and being able to like see me or at least attempt to see me in the way he sees me, it really helps. Like it helps you just like naturally develop love.
Well, I take great pride in knowing that I like to help people. Well,
but that's love.
And goes along with the loving yourself too. But also, is that I can't help anybody if I'm also not going to help myself.
Right.
But if I'm so far in shambles, I'm useless in that.
Loving yourself is not going to be a perfect science. It's going to be a process. I am still on that journey, and Logan is too. The more you focus on diving into those things that truly make you who you are, I feel like the more you'll be your authentic self. And when you're your authentic self, you love yourself. If you're moving forward, you're making progress, right? You don't have to have these giant breakthroughs every single day, every single time. You don't have to have these like aha moments that often. It's about making little changes every single day and trying your very, very best to keep the momentum going forward.
A lot of you guys know watching this, I'm a huge comic book geek. Comic books have been probably the biggest thing in my life, next to my daughter, significant other, and then my career. But a quote from a superhero is, always forward, forward always. It's from Luke Cage. And that's what I want to tell you guys is, just keep going.
I wasn't planning on having guests for at least a couple of weeks, but it is actually Logan's birthday on the day that this video is going to be dropping. So everyone wish Logan a happy birthday, because this will be coming out on Monday. As far as this week, I'm going to be dropping a video on Thanksgiving. Going to be taking that risk. Hopefully you guys watch it.
I'm going to.
My video on anxiety will be dropping next week, so keep looking forward to that. Have a good week, you guys. And until I see you next, chin up, deep breath, let's heal in real life.